Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about why the chin-up is probably the most useful non-barbell exercise. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Because generally speaking, if someone is looking for overall development, overall strength, overall athleticism, they are going to get the most bang for their buck out of big barbell movements, and generally ones in which you are standing. Meaning, a standing overhead press is more valuable than a seated one. Overall, if your goal is overall development, overall strength, overall performance, it's generally understood. That's the way these things work. So usually I advocate for people that they comprise the majority of their routine around things like deadlifts, squats of different types. I don't care if it's a high bar squat, low bar squat, front squat, they all have their uses. Same thing with deadlifts. I don't care if you're talking about a conventional deadlift, a deficit deadlift, whatever. Overhead pressing while you're standing, whether it's strict presses, push presses, behind the neck presses, barbell rows, again, whether it's a standing bent over row, whether it's a pin lay row. The point is exercises in which you are standing on your feet and using a big heavy barbell usually recruit the most muscle fibers through the body. They transfer over the best to various sports endeavors, to real-world activities. They work the most muscle fibers possible for the least amount of sets done in the gym. They're your most efficient, most effective overall lifts. And that's just the way that it is. And it makes sense when you look at the way you perform these exercises. Every one of them use core involvement, upper body involvement, leg involvement to a greater or lesser degree. Now, the chin-up happens to be something different. It's an exercise that people can technically do without any weights at all. It is one of the easiest exercises to just do anywhere. You can look around and you can find a bar outside somewhere to do chin-ups on. You can find a tree to do chin-ups on. You can do chin-ups in parks. It's an exercise that pretty much anyone can have access to without a gym. Incidentally, it does some unique things in the body. It's one of those exercises to where you move your body through space. Now, Russian physiologists had determined a long time ago, now this gets argued a lot. All the people who follow the bodybuilding circles, I've heard people even like Ian McCarthy try to argue, well, that's just not true. Tension is tension, muscles only know tension. No, there does seem to be some sort of response in the body. The Russians never fully understood it, but they documented it all during the Cold War with their athletes because they put a lot of effort into trying to develop better athletes. It was warfare to them. It was a form of war. They considered it imperative to prove that their society and way of life was better to have the best athletes, and they put resources into it. Serious resources into it, and they determined that exercises that move your body through space, which incidentally, your squats, push presses, deadlifts, all those do that too. All right, power cleans, which I should have added to that list, power cleans obviously, hang cleans, whatever sort of cleans. Again, exercises with a barbell standing up. But the chin-up happens to be an exercise to where you do that. Your body moves through space, and they noted that there seemed to be a different response in the body when that happens. They didn't know if it had to do with the body moving against gravity while being subjected to resistance training or what it was. But they noticed a different hormonal response in the body, a different training response to that. They got a stronger overall stimulus. Well, incidentally, when you do a chin-up, and when I mean a chin-up, I'm generally talking about palms facing you from a dead hang, pulling yourself up. Now, you get a lot of these same benefits from the actual hammer grip ones. If they're done narrow enough, they give a similar benefit. But with those exercises, you're having to pull the body through a pretty long range of motion due to the somewhat narrow grip either way. And a lot of people look at an exercise like that and they think, well, that's just a back. That's a latissimus dorsi and a bicep exercise. But the reality is, it actually works probably 80% of the muscles in the upper body. And this has been confirmed with various EMG studies. So yeah, it's a great exercise for the lats. Sure, it works the lats. Sure, it works the mid-traps. It works the rhomboids, the teres, and all that stuff in there. It works the posterior delts. It works those things. It's also a fantastic stimulator of your biceps. In fact, some data out there suggests that it's better than a lot of types of curls for your biceps. It also works the brachialis, the radial brachialis. It works your forearms. It works all those muscles, just like any other pulling movement does. But what has been noted due to the way you have to be stabilized on it when you do the full range of motion, the exercise works your chest. All right, so for people who have different goals, this is going to start to make sense. Because obviously there's a lot going on for athletic ability there, because you're moving your whole body. You're pretty much pulling your whole body through space. That always has an athletic component to it. But when you think about even guys who are just trying to chase the whole aesthetics thing, think on this for a moment. All right, your lats, your biceps are definitely top priorities as far as aesthetics go. But what other muscles are top priorities usually? Guys want to focus on their chest, particularly their upper chest, their triceps, their delts, their abs, all of that, right? Well, the delts don't get worked tremendously well in this, but the rear delts get worked a lot. But when you look at the studies on it, the upper chest gets significantly recruited on the chin up. It is adding additional stimulation to your upper chest in addition to whatever upper chest work you're doing. Well, that's usually a weak spot for a lot of guys aesthetically. It's also a tricep exercise. Now, that would seem counterintuitive because most bicep exercises shouldn't be a tricep exercise, and most tricep exercises shouldn't be a bicep exercise, right? But the chin up is. And it seems to be that when you get that stretch at the bottom, if you go all the way down, the long head of the tricep, the big head back here, seems to be significantly recruited on the chin up. Significantly recruited. Incidentally, that's also the head of the tricep that most guys have the least development in. It has the most muscle fibers, it's the biggest one, but because most guys do a ton of pressing for their triceps, most presses work the lateral and medial head more. They don't work the long head quite as much. So a lot of people have to come in and isolate the long head with extra isolation work if they want a fully developed tricep. The chin up works the long head of the tricep. And it's not an amazing stimulator of it, but it's a decent stimulator of it. So when you factor in that this back and bicep exercise also works something that are many people's aesthetic weak point that they have to do extra work for, it does extra work for those. The long head of the tricep, the upper chest, it actually helps work that. It can be additional work for that. Also, it's been found, chin-ups work the core as much as a crunch does. So it's actually an abdominal exercise on top of it. So this is a case to where an exercise that a lot of guys might just be doing for their back and for their biceps turns out to be an abdominal exercise, an upper chest exercise, a long head of the tricep exercise. It's an all-around fantastic movement that has a lot to offer. It basically works 80% or 90% of the muscles in the upper body, if not more. It even seems to work the serratus muscles and the intercostals to some extent if you stretch at the bottom. So full range of motion chin-ups are an absolute powerhouse for developing your entire upper body. The only thing they don't really work is the side and front delt. But you know what? Tons of pressing and overhead work handle those. It works most of the muscles of the upper body. Also, additionally, it moves your entire body through space. And any exercise in which you move your entire body through space can help improve overall athleticism in a variety of sports. And the best part of it is, chin-ups are something people can do at home with a cheap chin-up bar. They can hang it over a door. You can get them anywhere for about $30. They could just be walking around, stop and do them in the park. They can stop and do them on a tree. It's an exercise you can do anywhere at any time every single day if you want to, because it's just something that most people have easy access to without actually having to go to the gym. So when we look at it, just due to its overall ease of being able to just do it anywhere, and the fact that it recruits so many different muscles, the chin-up is quite possibly the single most effective non-barbell exercise ever invented. And if you're not doing it, you might want to consider adding it to your routine. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.